You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
Oh, you gentle jackasses of the pod-face world. This is the P3 podcast, and that's right. Oh, fat, loud, slackjaw himself is back. And I can't wait to roast some of your taters here tonight. Beef, I'm talking to you. There's a lot of good stuff to go over. There's a lot of bad stuff to go over. And I can't wait to tell Beef's woke, millennial, safe space, cotton ball, cuddle up, binky fucking ass what he can do with him and his boo-hoo, don't hurt my feelings bullshit. So get ready, strap in, and in other news, let me be the first to once again, and I can't state that enough, once again, introduce the reigning, defending, undisputed, auditing, longest reigning cruiserweight champion of the world, my lord and my liege, Poot the Bard.
Baby.
You will never lose that belt. These other two idiots will have to pry it out of your cold, dead hands, and then they're going to have to hurry up and do a 360 about face to look behind them because my car is going to be driving right up their ass to run them over and take that belt right back for you.
Oh.
Don't think it won't. I didn't give a shit what happened with these picks as long as you walked away with the title because I'm a good advocate.
That is an advocate, ladies and gentlemen. That is an advocate worth respecting. Alec Ransom, I'm glad you're back. And I am still your reigning, defending, undisputed cruiserweight champion, Poot the Bard, baby. Oh, it was a victory. I thought it was gone. I had relegated myself to, okay, it's time to walk off the mount, but no.
Fucking Ransom was 8-0. I
never doubted you for a minute. I never doubted you.
Ransom, you were fucking 8-0 after AEW, and I'm like, man, as long as he doesn't piss away these picks, he's got it. And then like NXT happened, and you pissed all the picks away, and I'm like, oh man, he fucking snuffed it.
It was Saturday. What the hell were we doing on Saturday? Oh, we went out to my. No, it was something. Oh, we went out to my parents' house because they wanted to decorate the Christmas tree with the kids. So we went out there and we decorated a Christmas tree. Tara and I were about to leave to come back home, and I said, "Oh, piss! I forgot that I have picks to do." So I pulled up the list of it that Beef sent me, and I just started writing down names as I saw them. And then I texted it over. I'm like, these are my picks. Bam. There was no rhyme or reason. It was just, this is the first name in the list that I saw. Pick it.
He fucking scrawls it on the back of like ripped up gift paper, just like fucking here.
It was on the back of a used envelope in one of my children's crayons. So that's where I wrote my picks down so that I could text them.
That needs to go on Instagram.
That is
the fucking story of Alec Ransom the Mad continues to unravel before our eyes.
Hey, speaking of the mad and unraveling, and diapers, here's Beef the Legend.
Hey, man.
Yeah, get them changed, man.
Hey, man.
Ladder that ass up there, buddy. You don't want no chafing. We're going to have a...
Oh, God, just awkward silence. I just imagine Beef sitting in a high-back leather chair in front of a fireplace with a snifter of brandy, just like staring and listening to Lacrimosa.
I'm glad I get to talk to you assholes tonight because I fucking need it. It's been a trying time at the old cave of Beeftitude, so... you motherfuckers, even you fucking crayon sniffing bastard. Glad to have you back.
Wait, we're gonna have a did you tie up on whether or not people's hurt feelings give a shit in 2019?
We're never doing a collar and elbow tie up ever again because no one fucking listens to collar and elbow tie ups. Every time we do a collar and elbow tie up, we lose half of our fan base and we have to gain them back.
All four of them, so then we go back down to two. I like the collar and elbow tie ups. I don't care if these other slack jawed knuckle dragging morons don't like it. It's fun. They're interesting. And if people can't appreciate it, then they're Neanderthals. And speaking of Neanderthals,
$49.99.
shut the hell up, Beef. I'm introducing a sponsor. He's much more important than your jiggly mouth.
So I'm a Neanderthal. So I'm a Neanderthal, apparently. And
Beef is the Neanderthal. You are the more important sponsor. You're a step above. That's where I'm going.
A step above a Neanderthal. Thanks for the compliment. Beef, I'm sad to hear that you've downgraded from a fortress of beeftitude to merely a cave.
Well, you know, it's Christmas time, so you have to dial it back. So you know,
he's getting ready to hibernate for the winter.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like a big bear.
Roar.
Roar.
Ransom only for you.
Oh my God.
What's that?
I said only for you, Ransom, only for you.
Oh.
Wow. I'm glad I'm
that's
leaving
horrifying yet enticing.
Early.
Hey, speaking of horrifying and enticing, Beef, why don't you thank some sponsors and do it much better than I could?
Which is...
And
I mean,
silence.
never mind.
That was kind of like a compliment. Fuck.
I know, right? So, yes, I will definitely love to thank our sponsors. We do want to thank Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom over here, who has requested the lieu of the uppercut, as he's going to start kind of trying to fade it in like an RKO. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. So we definitely want to thank Tom over here for his work with the Casual Gaming Dad and the Casual Gaming Dad's Corner over on Facebook. He does a lot of really cool stuff. He was telling me about he was doing some stuff with God of War today, just kind of faffing about on some ridiculously hard shit. So
currently
that always makes for wonderful videos, watching somebody playing a game and getting absolutely fucking frustrated. That's why Mario Maker is wonderful to watch too, because man, fucking oh god. Anyway, so check him out on Facebook. Give him a like, give him a subscribe. He's also on the Twitch machine as well. It's Casual Gaming Dad 84. Is that right?
Yes, you got it right. Casual Gaming Dad 84 on Twitch, and then YouTube and Facebook. It's just Casual Gaming Dad. Same old black and white logo that's there. Can't miss it. Nailed it.
Awesome. And we also want to thank Mr. Sean Tischler and what he's done with IWC. Not his website, though, but his work with IWC.
Listen,
and,
I went there and I got a great deal on a family garage sale. Bought the whole goddamn thing.
Well, I mean, given your house, you need about 87 more fucking garages to put shit in, so you know what? Like, you need all the garage doors you can buy, Poop.
Listen, I will have you know that we fit a car in there now, so we're getting rid of shit.
Oh, moving on up to the east side,
to the ghetto.
Actually, the east side in Clearfield is the ghetto. Anyway, go on.
That's the truth. Anyway, so Sean Tischler, yeah, we definitely thank you, man, for everything you've helped out and bring to the wonderful people of Clearfield.
Wow.
Your Clearfield people, never forget that.
Yeah, know your roots, bitch.
I know. I can't escape it either. Anyway, so we definitely want to thank Sean for everything he's done with IWC and bringing that awesome promotion to a brand new audience there. Yeah. And hey, speaking of IWC, I will work this in every chance I get. December the 7th, IWC has the second annual Pittsburgh Classic, sure to be a wonderful card, main evented by the champion, Jackson Argos.
The champion. I am a champion. He is the champion.
He is the champion. Fucking Rey Mysterio is a champion. He is the champion. The era of Argos will forever be etched in stone as he takes on Jake Pollock. But yeah, so check out IWC as well. You can buy tickets on their website. What I say, Jake? My bad.
Jake.
Sure did.
J-A-K.
From State Farm. I will note this as well. There is IWC, and I don't know if they still are or not, but they were doing a sale for 2020 where you could, I think, pay like $300 and get like VIP ringside seats, like the whole shebang for the whole year. So if you are, a big IWC fan and you know that you're going to be checking out some of those shows, might not be a bad deal to do.
You can be Smiley Green Shirt guy for IWC.
There you
Exactly.
go. I actually might. I keep saying I'm going to do this, and I keep getting sidetracked. But my daughter's birthday is coming up, and actually the IWC event is a few days after. So I'm thinking me and the kiddos are going to go down, not necessarily ringside, but general admission would be fine. And I think we're going to go down that way. And what's that?
Nothing.
Anyways, but I think we're going to go down to catch.
Oh my God. Hold on, Poot. Did you just fucking like Fast Willie Brown or whatever the hell his name is?
What?
The fucking Stargazer from the Ritz. General admission.
No, there you go. No, I didn't. No, Downtown Fred Brown. No, I didn't.
That's it. Downtown Fred Brown.
Brown.
Okay.
No, that's a joke from How I Met Your Mother. Whenever someone says it's general knowledge.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
Gotcha.
go.
I wouldn't know
Sorry,
that.
Tom.
Yeah. All right. Anyways.
Wow, that was just a fantastic
And
interlude.
he was
Again.
the one making fun of Clearfieldians, and he just called out like a deep cut Clearfield thing. Good job.
True. Truth.
You are such a hillbilly.
Oh
Booking.
man. Again. Can't wait to leave this shit show early.
Oh, wow.
Nah.
Wow.
I kid. I'm here. If I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here.
Hurtful.
Tom says, "I'm here." Like
Hey,
it's a
speak-
fucking
I'm
job.
here. Whatever.
Hey, speaking of hurtful and people's feelings getting hurt, let's talk about this shit. Let's just get right into it. I want to hear
Are we
Ransom
going
get fired
right
up.
into it?
So,
Fuck yes. Let's.
all right.
Wow.
So, in case anyone out there is not listening, I'll open this up. Mauro Ranallo closed down his Twitter account according to rumor. I haven't really delved deep into this because, frankly, the more I think about it, the more I get Ransom angry.
Yeah.
He closed down because of a comment that Corey Graves made on his Twitter. And Beef, can you please expound on me, because I read the tweet and I was like, okay, I don't understand. But
So, and all right, I'm gonna try to leave opinion out of this for now.
for now.
Exactly. It's going to circle back around. Corey Graves sent out a tweet on Saturday during NXT War Games, and I don't have the tweet pulled up. I'm not fucking looking at it, so don't fucking come at me, Twitter fingers. But it said something to the like of, there is a former Ring of Honor champion and a WWE Hall of Famer on commentary. Not that you could notice.
Oh! Now I'm a dumbass. It just clicked now.
Yeah, it basically implying of the fact that Mauro was like going so hard on the commentary that he kind of overshadowed Nigel McGuinness and Beth Phoenix. And here I actually have the tweet pulled up now. So it's just for the record, guys. I know you wouldn't know it, but there's actually a WWE Hall of Famer and a former Ring of Honor champion on commentary. I'd imagine they'd have a lot to offer. And it had like the little shrug emoji, hashtag NXT TakeOver War Games. So
irony coming from Corey Graves, but
yeah.
I mean, Corey on commentary, I mean, he's a loudmouth, but he's generally the heel commentator. They're supposed to be, interrupty loudmouths. Like, it's part of the whole shtick. But Mauro Ranallo is historically, obviously, a face commentator. And
also well regarded as the best at what he does, with Corey Graves just behind him.
If I may, I've been waiting to bust this out, the Jim Cornette thing. He needs to just shut his dick licker so other people can talk, motherfucker.
Yeah, and somebody who should have shut his dick licker. Let's see.
Oh yeah, let's wait for that.
His own
Again,
let's stay on this.
More fucking irony. Yeah, right.
Yeah, let's stay on this.
Oh
so,
yeah, we'll get. Yeah. Anyways,
so
if
go ahead, Tom.
I don't know. I was gonna say my whole opinion on this. It's all right. What Corey said there isn't bullying. For people that want to start throwing around the bullying thing, because we discussed this in our own little group chat. Just within the last day or two after it happened or whatever. So I don't think it's bullying. B, I think Mauro needs to grow a little bit of thick skin when it comes to that as far as taking criticism. But I will say that it was done in poor taste, I think, because if that's something like Corey and Morrow, even though they aren't on the same show, they're part of the same company. If you're gonna criticize them, like, why did you have to take to Twitter to do it? Why not just have a conversation with him one-on-one? Just be like, hey man, like, hey, just watching war games, give your opinion, whatever. I thought it was great, thought it was whatever. Hey man, I think he kind of like overshadowed Nigel and Beth a little bit. Like, might want to be careful with that in the future. And that, I mean, like, and then if Morrow still gets worked up because of that, then obviously he's in the wrong business. However, you can't. It's one of those things. Like Morrow, his how I think Beef put it whenever we were talking about he can't help the fact that his star shined that brightly that he was just fucking.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault that Beth Phoenix sucks. Like I think I actually texted you, Tom, at one point and said, "Oh my god, I forgot that Beth Phoenix is on commentary."
You did actually. Yeah,
that's
you did.
Not
because
his fault.
Exactly. Like, hey, fucking, do you? Okay, let's use a sports analogy since I know Beef likes to pull those out. Do you blame Sidney Crosby for being too fast if the other skaters can't keep up with him? Do you yell at Sidney and say, "Hey, Sid, stop being so damn good"? No. Like, fucking step it up, chumps. So, and I say that lightly. Obviously Nigel McGuinness is awesome, and Beth, well, she's a Hall of Famer, so I'll give her that. I mean, I can't really take that away from her. But honestly, Beth on commentary she's not up to par with Morrow, and I mean, I don't know. That's my take on it. It's not bullying, but there are certain times and certain places for it. Like, why does everybody feel the need to take it to Twitter automatically and get everybody else's fucking opinion on it, including our dumbasses that know nothing about the business?
Because Twitter's a fucking dumpster fire. No, bottom line, like, it is. It's the dregs of humanity.
It is. So honestly, Corey could have handled it differently. I don't blame him. You can't blame him for having his opinion because he's not wrong in saying that. Like, it can be an issue when somebody overshadows somebody else like that. But at the same time, how can you fault Morrow for being that good and that enthusiastic? Because that's who he is. Like, he is that when you talk about like the quintessential like commentators that have passion for it and or actually make you excited, Morrow can tell a story. You don't even have to watch the match. You could listen to him and know what and get a visual of what's going on because he is that damn good. So that's my 2 cents on it. I'm gonna continue faffing around on my game.
It's the problem. The problem with stuff like this is honestly that it's kind of a sign of the times. You said, why would Corey Graves take to Twitter to do this? Number one, Corey Graves, I imagine it IRL, if you knew him, great dude. But if you were like just like someone who met him and like, like, oh, hey man, it's nice to meet you, like whatever, he'd be kind of a dick. You know what I mean? I feel like he just would be. He's not the most tactful dude in the world. Obviously, we've seen, in recent years. But the other thing is too, unfortunately, and this is something that I was discussing with a buddy of mine, that's how things are handled. You know what I mean? Like, that's how life is handled now. Everyone takes to the internet. And because people give their identity out on the internet now, I mean, at least Corey Graves said his thing and he's standing by it. Like, I'll give him that. He's standing by the statements he made. But this is how people handle things now. Like, instead of, if you have a problem with someone, what do? You block them on Facebook, you block them on Twitter, you cut them out of their life instead of actually talking to them and working out a problem. Like, even like close friends do that. You know what I mean? Because nobody likes confrontation nowadays. Nobody wants to just have a face-to-face, because if you're face-to-face with someone, it's a lot harder to stand by your statements and stand by what you think when you can see the reaction and how your words are actually impacting a person. It's easier to put it in 120 characters, throw it into the ether, and walk away, because then you don't have to really deal with any repercussions. You know, it's just easier to do that. That's just a sign of our times. Now, should you get pissy about every little stupid comment that people make? No. I Beef, you know, I used to do that. And it kills you. It beats you to death.
Yep.
But when you're dealing with a problem that is chemical, like something that is chemical in your brain, like I had a meme I saw a meme the other day, and it said, isn't it crazy how you can have everything that you've worked really hard for and deserve and have all the things that you could possibly want in your life, but your brain is just like, nah, fam. Like you can have, like, you could have worked hard for all the success, money, whatever, you know, person that you married or got in a relationship with, and have the nice car and the nice house and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you could still be like, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And your brain just does that. It's like, you have everything you want and you should be happy, but you know what? Not going to let that happen. Like, so I get, like, why these things can do that, but if you, then, like we said earlier, you might be in the wrong business, or you need to take a break and get your shit together and come back stronger.
Right.
Which I think is him proactively removing his Twitter so that he's not, you know, firing back at Corey Graves right away. So that he's not seeing these comments and getting, like, all, you know, nerfed up by them. So...
True.
Here's the thing, all right? I love Mauro Ranallo, and I'm a Mauro mark through and through. I was pissed whenever his first time with the company ended because of bullying by JBL. And this, like, when this issue reared its ugly head on Sunday, I got a lot of the same overtones and vibes, and that's why I got real fucking, like, social justice warrior about it. But in reality, you know, Graves did not mention Barrow by name, although, I mean, you know, connect the dots. He's not a dummy, so, I mean, neither are we. But, well, it's an opinion. And even though Corey Graves works in the same company and does the exact same thing that Morrow does, even though all of that, it's still just an opinion from another idiot on the internet. Tom made a salient point about, hey, you know what? Like, don't fucking air dirty laundry over fucking Twitter. Take notes. You know, like I said, man, like right now, the internet wrestling community sees Morrow number 1, Corey number 2, and then it kind of gets murky after that. Like, these two are the best in the business. Like, there's no reason that they need to be, like, firing pot shots at each other. Fucking give notes, man. Hey, I noticed you're really strong, but here's something you can work on. Like, to call out a fellow employee on Twitter like that is pretty fucking brass balls, first of all, which we know Corey has. Yeah. And, I mean, secondly, it's kind of a dick move, because Corey Graves is kind of a dick. You know, just like fucking people that come at CM Punk. CM Punk's kind of a fucking dick. Just like Sasha Banks in person, kind of a fucking dick. You know what? Like, I can't say one way or the other because I'm not a famous person. I can't tell you how I would react by being a famous person. I'd like to think that I'd still be a good person, but I don't fucking know. Like, you know, there are 1,000,001 things that happen behind the scenes that we are not privy to.
You would become Mr. Mac Beef in an instant.
Probably.
You would.
Probably.
You would.
All I'm saying is I think it could have been handled better. I think, and especially because WWE has the whole fucking Be a Star campaign, like say no to bullies. And again, I am not saying that what Corey did was bullying. I think that in some circles it could be contrived as such, but I think that you would have to kind of go a long way to make that a bullying statement. But I mean, when you are in the public eye like that, as WWE is, under the lights of something like the Be a Star campaign, where you are trying to put out bullying, people are going to come at you, man. Like, it'd be real easy for any WWE hating company to take that story and run with it. You know, hey, you know, WWE part of Be a Star, but look at this. Their lead announcer on Fox SmackDown, you know, is bullying their own, you know, a different announcer. So, you know, And I mean, you guys are hitting all the great points that, yeah, Morrow needs to grow a little bit of thicker skin because, again, he's in the public eye. People are going to take issue with him. Not everybody's going to love him. Not everything's going to be roses and rainbows. So, I mean, I think he does need to kind of work on it a little bit. He is bipolar. So that's, there's that. And like Poot said, it is a chemical imbalance. It is something that is out there. So for that, I mean, I understand all that thing, but like I said, him removing his Twitter may not be a response, but rather a proactive measure to get out of his own headspace. Go ahead, Ransom. I know you're chomping a bit.
I'm really not anymore because, I was expecting somebody to really go, full butt, egg, and cheese on the whole. This was such a terrible thing, and the bullying is out of control, and I have to catch my breath because I'm reeling so bad from the hideous, heinous, just emotional damage that such a tweet could do. Beef called me out for being political in our group chat whenever I said, you know what, just fucking grow a set and man up. Honestly, it's not. This has nothing to do with any sort of political affiliation. It has nothing to do with, you're a gun-toting, American flag-waving, right-wing America, Trump, bang, 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 bang. No. No, not even anywhere freaking close. If anything, it's me being a realist. People are going to be critical of other people. It's happened since the dawn of time, and it will happen until we reach that brave new world society where people no longer have thoughts of their own. There will always be people critical of other people. And this has nothing to do with how poor of an announcer Beth Phoenix is, or, how much of an asshole Corey Graves is, or how enthusiastic and great of an announcer Mauro Ranallo is. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's all about this whole, this one person said this one mean thing about me, and now I have to go have surgery because my knee blew out from the jerk reaction that I had, over this one freaking little tweet. Settle the hell down. Calm the fuck down. So it wasn't okay for Corey Graves to tweet that tweet, according to Morrow's manager, or whatever his name is, Shamrock.
Oh.
First I got confused with Ken Shamrock. But
was it Ryan?
So
was it Ryan or Frank?
No. It's his brother. Yeah, Frank Shamrock, and he's a bad man.
Well,
bad man, don't come to Mordor because the orcs will get you. It wasn't okay for Corey Graves to tweet what he tweeted, but it is completely acceptable for Frank Shamrock to go, you know what, Corey, that's not a cool thing to do. You deserve to be punched in the mouth. Oh, okay. So not referencing some announcer by name and just saying, oh, you wouldn't know that there was a Hall of Famer or, a Ring of Honor champion. That's a no-no. But flat out coming out over Twitter and going, you deserve to be punched in the mouth. That's cool. What kind of unbalanced society are you living in? Hang on, let me get my shit out before I forget it, because I'll forget it. I know I will. I'm absent-minded and I'm old. So, in what twisted reality is that okay? So in one sentence there, Shammy, you're condemning Corey Graves for the most mildest of tweets, but in your same statement, you're saying it's perfectly acceptable to punch somebody in the mouth because they hurt someone else's feelings. What? Shut up. That makes zero sense. Stretch Armstrong couldn't stretch to connect that. And speaking of Stretch Armstrong, not even that bendy motherfucker could stretch long enough to connect what Corey Graves said to bullying. There's no way. It wasn't, regardless of whether or not you might think, well, it was unprofessional, blah, blah, blah. Sure, it might have been unprofessional. That's not my argument. My argument wasn't, well, Corey shouldn't have said that because that was unprofessional. My argument is, settle the hell down. It was one tiny little tweet. You are in the public eye more than any of us idiots are. And no offense to any of the three people that listen to this show, but if you don't like the character, and let's face it, the character of Alec Ransom is me dialed up. I'm not this person in real life completely. It's dialed up.
From 10 to
It's
10.1.
dialed up, you bastard. But at the same token, like if the people that listen to this podcast don't like me because they think I'm a loudmouth, slack-jawed, flapping at the gums asshole, fine. I don't give a shit. I don't care what any of you think. I don't. The character of Alec Ransom gives zero fucks about what anybody thinks of me.
And the real life Alec Ransom gives probably half a fuck, if that.
No, I think the real life Alec Ransom doesn't give a shit either. But the point is, like,
I know that
you're playing a character, like I'm playing a character, at least on this podcast. It's dialed up, but it's still a character. If you're going to put yourself in the public light, you have to be able to expect criticism from somewhere, whether it's from some idiot doing a podcast in bumfuck Pennsylvania, or whether it's a colleague on another show. It's a tiny little tweet of criticism. Calm the hell down. Settle down. The world's not going to end. He's not your boss. He's not signing your paychecks. He's not rallying people to get you fired. He's not JBL style bullying you. Settle it down a little bit. Now, if the whole Morrow deleting his Twitter thing was proactive, so he doesn't have another one of his Hall of Fame breakdowns, if that's what it was, good for him. Maybe you're thinking ahead. Maybe you're 2 steps ahead of the game and you're like, you know what? I'm not going to let this get to me, and I'm going to go ahead and delete my Twitter because A, don't give a shit what Corey Graves thinks, and B, I don't need to, see people jumping on the Corey Graves bandwagon, bashing the hell out of me. If that's what he did, more power to him, good for him. But if it's true that he didn't show up to Survivor Series because of that, now there's speculation, and again, we're not in the business, so we don't know. People, dummies, slack-jawed, dummy idiots on the internet think, oh, Corey Graves hurt Morrow's feelings, and Morrow's cuddling up with a blankie, and he can't come to Survivor Series because he's got the boo-hoos.
He's got the boo-hoos.
Then you have Michael Cole saying, well, he blew out his voice because, he was so energetic and enthusiastic. I don't know what the truth is. It might be.
No, Michael Cole straight up said that was a lie. I mean, it was a good cover because, Morrow, like JR, does tend to get old JR, was super into events, and especially at the end, like they give everything that they got. So they're kind of losing their voice. So I mean, it's a great cover.
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility ever, even because I mean, look at the IWC show, man. My voice was almost blown out. I had a full blown headache going on.
But we're not professionals. Like
exactly.
We don't go to the shows and yell every week. And so here's the thought, and this is just out of left field. I mean, so Corey has this problem with Morrow. And again, I don't think it's a problem. And again, if you listen to Friday Night SmackDown...
does Corey have a problem with him, or did Corey just send one little tweet and then that was it?
Corey has a problem with Morrow's announcing style. I don't want to say it's a personal vendetta. It may be. Who fucking knows with Corey Graves? But he makes it very implicit that he has a problem with his announcing style. But, and here's my ironic part, if you turn on Friday Night SmackDown, you're going to hear like 75% Corey, 25% Michael. And that's, like you said, Poot, not a problem because Corey's a heel announcer. Plus, it's a 2-man team. 3-man teams are tough.
That was the point I was going to make, is that, like, you're always going to have a third wheel. Like Beth Phoenix.
Right.
You're just not going to hear her because...
Well, and here's the thing, man, because, like, Morrow and Nigel do fine together. I think they click wonderfully. What the hell? Percy Watson had the same shit whenever it was Corey and Nigel and Percy. It was all Corey and Nigel, and every so often Percy Watson would, like, interject, like, oh, man, I can't believe that. Like, some, like,
Wow. I don't know.
Wow, no. Percy Watson on the podcast.
100%. Percy Watson sounded like a token African American, like 100% every time he spoke, every single time. So, but my point here is that you have Renee Young, who is very adept at commentary, and I still think that Fox made a mistake not bringing her on. Why not? And Beth Phoenix has zero commentary experience. Why not put Renee on NXT instead of Beth? Because Renee has no problem, putting herself, interjecting herself between conversations. Beth, it's weird because, we see her as the Glamazon. We see her as, like, the freaking like Lord of the Divas division whenever she was whenever she was active. But like on commentary, she's so timid and shy. You know, Renee doesn't have that. So I think if you put Renee in that spot, then you have a more even keel, which I think is what Corey, as poorly conceived as the idea was, I think he was well-meaning in saying that the commentary is a little bit unbalanced. You throw Renee in there, I think you alleviate some of that unbalancing. Just one man's opinion.
Well,
yeah, but
it's
say, not, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All I was going to say is I think I don't disagree that Renee is better on commentary than Beth. One. Two, I don't see her as the Glamazon. I see her as Edge's wife. That's it. And three,
wow.
Yeah.
Now,
sorry,
now, is it because you weren't really watching or inundated in the product whenever she was really prevalent?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and then three, the thing is now, you know, Fox put all this money into this deal with WWE, and now they have this backstage show. You couldn't ask for somebody better than Renee to do a show like that. You wouldn't. I don't know who else you would put on there.
She can do both, right?
She could, but maybe they don't want to stretch her that thin. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
So one of the things that you said, Beef, and I believe that to be true, is, you know, Morrow's the top announcer that WWE has, and he's followed by Corey Graves. Corey Graves has a problem with Morrow's announcing style. And at the end of the day, who cares? Who cares what this other guy thinks? You know, like, if you're Morrow, like, why? Why are you going to let the number two guy... Why are you going to let the number two guy ruin you just because of the fact that he doesn't like your commentary style?
I will tell you why.
Who cares?
Because we're not in his headspace.
Politics.
Go ahead, Poot. Well, no, not even that. Go ahead, Poot. I think you got a salient point coming up.
Well, it's because, dude, it doesn't matter how good you are or how widely regarded as good at what you do is. Everybody and their brother, literally hundreds of thousands in Morrow's case, of people could tell you that you're the best and you're good at your job. But here's the thing. When you're that type of person, if you don't believe it, none of it matters. And when one person comes along and throws a barb at you, that barb threads the needle and hits you square in the ego and the feels, whatever you want to say it. And all you think about, you don't think about all the accolades and a benefit and like glory that you've received. All you think about is that one person, and you focus and dwell on that, and you can't get it out of your mind. You can try really hard, and you can try and bury it in booze. You can try and fix it with meditation. You can pray on it. You can go to therapy, but it will just sit in the back of your mind and roil and fester. And eventually it comes to a head and it eats you alive, and you blow up or break down. And I can say this from firsthand experience. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter even if you know how good you are. You'll never think you're good enough. And that living like that is exhausting.
See, all right. So
and
I can accept.
Right. Good.
I can accept what you're saying there, Pooh. Like and that's my problem in this. And I'll openly admit that. Like, that's my problem in this, is that I'm not in Morrow's shoes, and I can't put myself in his shoes. You know, for me personally, not Alec Ransom, for me personally, you know, in my younger days, I struggled. I mean, it was a struggle. And I'll go as far as to say that, yeah, you know, I had bouts of depression. I struggled with people's opinion of me. I mean, it ate me up. You know, high school especially, you know, the later years, somebody didn't like me, or I couldn't be accepted with these people, or blah blah blah. Like, it ate me up and it devastated me. And I was so unhappy. There was a point in my life where I was so unhappy. I barely smiled. I was rock bottom. As far as I've ever been rock bottom in my life. My rock bottom is different from other people's rock bottoms. Everybody's experience is different. But there came a point where, something clicked in me, and I was just like, you know what? Who cares? Who gives a shit? I don't care what anybody thinks. Who cares? And I don't know what that was. I can't tell you what it was. It's not me, manning up and being a man, because I'm nowhere near the man's man. I'm just not. But I think for me it was like, you know what? I'm fine. I'm so tired of being unhappy. I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks. If you want to have criticism towards me, great. If you want to call me a fat, stupid ass loudmouth, great. I don't care. I don't give a shit what you say. So I think, that's my problem in this whole epidemic or saga, or whatever the hell this is between Corey and Morrow, is that I can't put myself in Morrow's shoes right now and be like, this one, no matter how good I am, this one thing just tanks me. It just kills me. I'm in Mach 5, and it just brings me to a complete standstill, and I'm done. I can't do it. Well, I can't put myself in that mindset. I can't get there anymore, because I felt like I've been there at one point. It's just like, you know what? Who cares? Who cares? I don't care.
And that's the thing, is that everybody has that proverbial kind of come to Jesus moment, where you not like the using the colloquialism, like,
sure, yeah,
everybody has that. But the thing is, usually it comes when you start being more proactive in your life and changing the things that you hate. And the problem is, though, for a lot of people, is that the things that you hate about yourself, and you go, okay, I need to change these things, seem so insurmountable in some cases. Like, they seem like, you go X amount of years living with that, and now you want to change it. How do you do that? You know what I mean? Yeah. How do you go about that? And people could say, well, and the problem is, and see, you're being understanding of this. So this is not directed at you, but people, Ransom specifically, or any of you guys. But like, it's the thing where people will look at you and just say, well, just do it. And it's like, it's not that simple, and that frustrates you then. And the problem is, the people that want to help you and are giving you advice, you lash out at in anger, because they don't understand, when all they want is the best for you. And you go, well, I need to stop that. I need to treat them better. All they do is care about me. But then they come back around and they give you advice, and you go, like, you think it's so simple, and it's this continuing cycle of frustration and anger and depression and misery. And it's when you step, which is what sounds like you did, Ransom, out of that cycle, you step sideways out of it. You don't try and find the exit. You just go, oh, and you step outside of it, and you go, oh, I don't have to be that way. And when you accept that, that's when you can really heal and really get better. But taking that sideways step, for some people, they just never do it, And for some people, I don't mean to keep rambling here, guys. I apologize.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, it's a lot easier said than done. How many times have any of us, and I can speak, this is with my experience of it. I mean, I've definitely had those low points. I've had to tell people before, like, hey, I can't teach you self-confidence. Like, I had to learn it in the military, because it was, that alpha dog mentality. It was, you're either the top of the food chain or you're getting shit on. Like, that's just the way it is. So you had to, for lack of better terms, you had to toughen yourself up. The one thing I can say, in the whole easier said than done thing, I can't tell you how many times I've sat there and listened to friends boo-hoo over like a shitty relationship or something that they're having with a significant other. And it's like, why wouldn't you just leave? Why not just leave? Just go. Just dump that person. Just be done with it. And it's always, yeah, but it's, when it comes to mental stuff, when it comes to any sort of mental illness or mental instability, or just any situation in general, especially depression, though, it's it's for lack of better terms, you're have this muscle memory of this is the way you're supposed to feel and this is the way that it is, and it takes in that case, and just in general in the term of muscle memory, it takes like X amount of repetitions for you to develop new muscle memory. So it can take a lot of time, but again, that's like we said, you know, if you're going to be in the public eye, you got to be able to handle a certain level of criticism. You have to find healthy.
Well, the other half of this is
outlets, you know, and hopefully that's what he did in deleting the Twitter. Fuck it. Like, I don't have Twitter, and I got
you're better for it.
I don't have Twitter. Within the last month or so, I had somebody like persistently trolling me on YouTube. And like the first couple times, you know, I kind of like did a little verbal back and forth, and I even said to him, I was like, you want to call me pathetic or something? I was like, number one, know your facts before you try to insult me. I have a full-time job. My streaming's what I do part-time for fun, but I also get to make a little money off of it. Number two, I have my own place. I'm a single dad. I don't live in my mom's basement. And number three, if you calling me pathetic, how pathetic are you in the fact that you've taken to making multiple profiles just to sit there and try to troll somebody? And after I, you know, block one, you come back with another. It's like, you're taking way too much time and effort to try to to try to piss in my Wheaties. How pathetic are you? And then after that, after I like, you know, got through that verbal confrontation, I just silently just started blocking and not even acknowledging. And it's been about a good week and a half now. No word. And if he comes back, just do the same old thing. And it's fine.
Well, and the other side of the coin is, and I think that this is important tomorrow because, as we mentioned earlier, you know, it is very much, you know, 1 and 2, and then a great drop to number 3, which would probably be, well, not
Michael
that great.
Cole.
I got Nigel's up there too. And then you got like Excalibur, you know, but I mean, those two are clearly the leader of the pack. So it's kind of like a game recognizing game, you know, when you're Kobe Bryant, you want to hear Michael Jordan saying good things about you. When you're, you know, Tiger Woods, you want to hear greats like fucking Phil Mickelson calling you out and saying that you're the future. You know, when you're Tom Brady, you want to hear Peyton Manning singing your praises and vice versa, regardless of who's better than who.
When you're another sports person, you want to hear that sports person say sports person things about you. I love you, Beef. I love you.
When you're Beef the Legend, you want to hear nice things said to you by Alec Ransom. You know, when
tie at a tire fire.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I've heard them. They're sparing. My point is that you want to hear it, and
I'll never admit to it.
I know you won't. But it kind of goes back to the whole validation thing, because you want to know that the people at the top of your game respect you at the top of your game. So like when you factor all of that in, and I mean, I'm telling you guys, you guys all kind of mentioned it. He missed a big opportunity to be back on the national stage and really fucking show his chops at the Survivor Series. And it is a damn shame that it came to that. And again, we can't say 100% that that's what did it. You know, maybe he wasn't feeling good. Maybe he was, you know, blown out from the night before. But I mean, knowing Morrow and his history, well, given Morrow's history, I should say, it's easy for us to believe that it was likely because he didn't want to interact with Corey Graves, which is understandable in his headspace. But I mean, it's a big lost opportunity because, I mean, again, like NXT has been drawing about the same audience as AEW, give or take, which is about 75% lower than like the average Raw audience, which is a fucking crying shame.
Or
can I interject for just a sec?
Yeah.
So the last, I wish I had it pulled up. The last ratings that came out, it was just under 1 million. It was like 900 some thousand for
NXT
for
and
NXT.
like
and
970 for like AEW.
Yeah, they didn't beat him by much, but honestly, it was something that I would have expected eventually. Like when you have the big build up to Survivor Series, you know, obviously I with that build up, I watched NXT over AEW, and for me, it depends. It varies week to week, depending on what is on the card for that week. If I know there's going to be a big championship match, I'm watching, show A over show B live, and
ratings war aside. So and we can definitely get to that if you guys want to. But my point is that
definitely enough of the Morrow stuff. But yeah, we can.
Well, look,
Raw and SmackDown. Well, I'm just going to finish my point here real quick, and then you guys have the floor. Raw and SmackDown are generally pulling 2s, 2.5s, 2.5s, maybe the occasional 3. So it's very clear that they're getting a lot more eyes than NXT. So this was a chance, I think, for Morrow to kind of get back in the major public eye and be seen as a guy who can really fucking, go into deep water. So, and again, not that he needs that specific validation because he's done title fights with boxing, he's done UFC, widely regarded as the best combat sports announcer out there right now. But that being said, man, it's a missed opportunity for sure.
So yeah, we've been on this topic almost for a damn hour. But just to button it up real quick, I want to play a little game of we like to do fantasy booking. I want to play a little game of fantasy CEO. So no more than a minute's worth of response. You don't have to justify it or anything. I just want to know what you would do. If you're in Vince McMahon's shoes, how do you handle something like this? Do you tell Corey Graves, hey man, you got to shut that shit down? I don't care who you criticize, but you can't criticize Morrow because you know how he is. Or if you're Vince McMahon, you go to Morrow and go, look, man, you're in the public eye. You are a public persona. You can't let every tiny little thing get to you. And if somebody, makes a criticism or a critical remark about you, you can't just blow off, a committed opportunity that you can't blow off a show that you're committed to. I expect you to show up. I expect you to do your job. I don't give a shit what anybody else says. So if you're in Vince's shoes, how do you handle this situation going forward? What do you say to who?
I personally would pull both of them in, and I would pretty much say almost those same things that you just said to both of them with them both there present. Be like, hey, listen, Morrow, I'm not making light of your mental illness or anything like that, and we understand it. And if there's anything that you need, obviously we're here to help you. You're part of the family, et cetera, et cetera. Corey, you're a valued member, blah 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 blah, et cetera, whatever. In the future, if you guys have any issues with one another, please keep it off of Twitter. I understand, everybody has their opinion, and yes, you're entitled to it, but, think about it, think bigger picture, think above both of yourselves. And, and just, that's how I would do it. Be like, hey, Corey, fucking next time, just talk to the man, and honestly, that's the thing. So many times, if people were just that direct and just said what the fuck was on their minds to said person and not putting it out in the fucking Twitter space and everything else, things would get accomplished so much more easily. Just what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to have a disagreement. Okay, then hopefully by the end of it, you agree to disagree. That you don't. You don't have to agree with everybody. I don't have to agree with, Beef's opinion or Ransom's opinion on something. I can have my opinion. We can agree to disagree, but and we have done that before on the podcast, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. The world does not end. The world keeps turning. Different ideas keep us moving. That's part of the beauty of this thing called life. So I would pull both of them in. That's my take.
So Beef, what do you do?
Are we fantasy CEO or fantasy Vince McMahon? Because I think that those are different things. I think
no, you're not fantasy Vince McMahon. You're fantasy Beef the Legend is CEO of WWE.
If I'm the guy running it, I pull them in individually because I know Morrow is not a fan of confrontation very clearly because of his kind of, again, mentally unstable. I don't want to use that word unstable, but, the headspace.
Sure.
But I pull them in separately, and I have that conversation. I say, Morrow, what Corey did was unacceptable. That is right. It's not cool for a workplace. But you got to man up and, realize, hey, I'm the best, and you got to be there whenever you say you're going to be there. For Corey, I definitely drill into him and say, hey, man, get the fuck off Twitter. We got fucking Seth Rollins over here fucking spouting off like a fucking faucet. I'm trying to contain that. Don't make me have to contain you too. You got a problem, come to me. You got a problem, go to him. You got a problem, talk to intermediaries, man. Work that shit out.
Poot?
I would do something that I believe works really, really well. I would have them come into my office. I would sit them down. I would lock the door facing each other, and I would go, all right, you two assholes talk this out. If there's some kind of beef, if there's some kind of thing, you don't like the way he does things, you don't like the way he does his job, tough shit. I like it. You guys need to just get over your beef and get over it now. Apologize to each other when it's done. Get it all out right now. You have 20 minutes and just sit back and let them yell it out. Yell and scream. They want to even tussle a little bit. Go for it. Like,
you think that would work with Morrow, though?
Beef.
No, I'm asking you a question about your response. Like, do you think that would work with Morrow?
I think it would be cathartic because when you let things stew and roil and there's backbiting, there's no direct communication, sit down, talk to each other. Sure, Corey might try and tough ass it out, but it could be good for Morrow to have to be in that situation. Make him uncomfortable. Shoot back at Corey. Like in a face-to-face manner. Once it's done in here, once you walk out that door, it's done. You know what I mean? It's done. Whatever problem you guys have with each other, it is done in this room. We're done. And then I would tell them, no more taking this shit to Twitter. If you have anything that you want to say, go to the person and say it. Or come in here, sit down, and discuss it. There has to be final conclusions. There can't be this backbiting, he said, she said kind of thing. It's just have it be done. Sit down, talk it out. I would do that with any situation. That's how I would handle it. I would sit down and be like, you two talk this shit out right now. And if they refused, if they sat there and they just wouldn't talk it out, then I'd give them a talking to. And I would say, okay, then talk to me. Tell me what your problem is. Say that. Look over to Corey, look over at Morrow and say, what's your problem? What's your issue? And if you say you don't have one, bullshit. Yes, you do. What's your problem? And you go, okay, what's a solution we can reach? That's, I think, a lot of the problem, not just in WWE, not just in anything, but in the world in general. People don't just go, I've got a problem. Let's figure out a common ground.
Yep.
Tirade over.
And I agree with you that it could be a cathartic release. I had an ex that was somewhat apprehensive about doing skydiving, and it was something that I'd always wanted to do. And when she did it, like the whole time, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And by the time we got down to the ground, she's like, when are we doing it again? And I'm like, exactly. See, I was like, you needed that. So there you go. That could be the thing that Morrow needs.
Yeah. Like,
all right, so I'm done. That was my heated thing. That happened this last week. There's a lot of other wrestling stuff, so
what do you guys think?
Can have at it.
What do you guys think about possible heel Seth Rollins?
I like it. I like
it.
Heel Seth Rollins is definitely better than face Seth Rollins. I liked whenever he was a heel after he turned his back on the Shield and everything. I think that was some of his best on the mic work, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, this extension of him is basically like Alec Ransom is to real life Alec Ransom, like just turned up like half a step. Yeah. Like, this is the Twitter douchebag that's fucking calling out Will Ospreay. This is the dickhead that's like, talking down to AEW. Like, you're taking that and making it a real life thing, and I'm okay with it.
So would you be a fan of Seth Rollins again, Beef, if they turned him heel, given all the, all the stupid shit he said over Twitter that you've, bitched about or called him out about? Are you okay with that once he turns heel?
Or
is that still like a separation? Is there still a separation between on-screen heel Seth Rollins and, douche twitting Seth Rollins?
Well, so here's my problem with Seth Rollins in the last year, that he's become like the Vince McMahon rah-rah guy. And like, even in his heyday, I don't think that John Cena was ever like the Vince McMahon rah-rah guy. John Cena was the guy who stood up there and like gave his own opinions whether they were the same as the chairman's or not. Seth, Seth, it feels like he is a mouthpiece for Vince McMahon and McMahon, because Vince doesn't want to send out a tweet that's going to be incendiary, so he'll put a bug in Rollins' ear. Or like he doesn't want to say something out loud, so he'll say something to Rollins about it and make Rollins do it.
So he's the guy who sits behind Vince McMahon and goes, "Yeah."
Exactly. So like, I mean, honestly, now now you're gonna muddy the water and you're gonna say, you know, now what he's saying on Twitter, is it like a work, or is it, you know, a shoot? And I mean, that's kind of smart in their eyes. They're thinking, okay, you know what, like, our fan base is turning on him, so let's fucking work shoot him. As far as me personally, like, I mean, I've never had a problem with his in-ring work. I've had a problem with the character got real fucking stale, real fucking quick. Because once you get the MacGuffin, you know, once King Arthur pulls the sword out of the stone, like, what other stories are there to tell? You're like, yeah, I know the seven, you know, the Knights of the Round Table and all that. But I mean, you know, like, that's the biggin, you know, like, that's your story. And then, like, you're trying to sequel with, I mean, once Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar and then beat Brock Lesnar again, you know, that was the end of his story arc, I think. So I think that Seth Rollins continued on for about 4 months too long.
Well, Shane.
And then coupled.
Well, Shane, it's time to put old Rollins out to pasture. But, Dad, he's done all he needs to do, son.
But I mean, that coupled with Rollins fucking like Twitter beefing everybody is just not a good look for him. So I think that this. Everybody, literally everybody, like, you know, I'm surprised that fucking Seth Rollins isn't sending tweets to Mauro Ranallo about his announcing, you know?
That's all we need. That's all we need.
So, like,
Rollins would be tactless enough to say kill yourself.
Right?
He
exactly.
would.
Yeah, right.
He would. He absolutely would.
So, like, I think that this is a first step. I think getting Rollins rejuvenated in the eyes of the people is a first step. Now, if they can fucking keep his dumb ass off Twitter, then I think that we'll be okay. But I mean, it's
shut. Sorry, it just fucking tickles me to death.
I mean, it's going to be a long way up, and I think he knows that, and I think he's willing to fight for it. But I mean, man, like, that spot with Owens, like, did you hear the fucking crowd pop when he dropped him with that stunner?
Yeah.
Fucking 1999 all over again, you know?
Has anybody listened to any of Corey Graves' podcast, the After the Bell thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
The only reason I reference that is because with all the happy Twitter fingers that Seth has there, he mentioned they talked about the one thing whenever he said something whenever he had his little Twitter beef with Kenny Omega, and I think he more or less had said something more like, yeah, you know, like, the stuff I'm saying on Twitter, like, yeah, dude, like, it's a work. Like, I obviously respect the guy. He is one of the best in the world. Like, but you know,
yeah. Well, I mean, you're not going to say that.
I know, but hold on. But he said, and now, you know, whether he's saying this just to try to make face or, you know, and excuse himself with it, or whether he's sincere, he brings up a good point in saying, like, you know, everybody being all buddy doesn't sell. Like, you need controversy. You need this. Like, controversy creates, you know, conversation creates money.
That's a really convenient way to, like, go ahead and keep being a shit face. You know what I mean? Again.
Whether he's being sincere or whether he's being a total shithead, there is some validity to the fact that controversy does sell.
Thank you.
Honestly, think about it. Okay, every good story has a protagonist and antagonist. There's, you know, whatever problem. There's you know, there's conflict. There's resolution. There's a climax to the story.
They have a protagonist, they have an antagonist, and then they have that weird hunchback guy from 300. That's Seth Rollins.
Oh, wow. Well, speaking of Seth Rollins,
fuck him.
According to Uncle Dave, this past week. Seth Rollins was in some hot water with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Seth Rollins can't just.
I'm sorry. They're just beefs yelling at yeah.
Like and anymore, say what you will about Corey Graves and his tweeting. Seth Rollins and that fucking Twitter account of his, like he is the wrestling industry's version of Donald Trump.
Oh my
God! He cannot keep his freaking fingers off of that keyboard to save his life.
Okay.
And I mean, this thing that got Seth in hot water with Vince, this wasn't even on the keyboard. This is on a fucking live mic on a Raw. What are you doing?
It was both. It was both.
I'm sorry, Ransom. You made the perfect analogy, and it fits so well because one of the things he said in his town hall speech on Raw last night was,
Raw great again.
I'm trying to make Raw great again.
Oh, he is.
Oh,
Seth
Lord.
Rollins is the Donald Trump of the wrestling universe.
And he really is.
Burn it down.
Dan. We're
gonna make Monday Night Raw great again, and then we're gonna take SmackDown and NXT and AEW. We're gonna burn them to the ground.
We're gonna bring back
This will
Hulk
be
Hogan.
the most phenomenal show on the sports entertainment history. It'll be the best ever. Wonderful, fantastic.
I know everything about sports entertainment and wrestling. I'm the greatest of it all.
God.
We're gonna have Hulk Hogan come back and fight the ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage. It'll be great. It'll be brilliant.
He's gonna hit him with the big boot. He's gonna drop that leg. It'll be phenomenal.
I'll tell you what, though.
All of a sudden, AJ Styles pops out from a manhole and goes, "What?"
You know who's fucking loving every second of this is fucking CM Punk. Like, even though he's on backstage, and by the way, I love CM Punk on backstage. Like, all the clips I've seen of him just makes me giddy to see CM Punk back. Because he's like, you don't bring your little angles on my show. Like, he's like, get out of here, kid. But like CM Punk, like, you know what this is doing? This is putting Vince McMahon in a bind because it's getting people stirred up. Because it's getting people stirred up. They're gonna want to see Rollins versus Punk. And Punk's going to say, you know what? Yeah, I'll do it. But, like, for every fucking character that Rollins is tweeting on Twitter, like, it's another fucking dollar sign in Punk's eyes. He's like, man, I'm going to make so much money off of this one stupid match. It's going to be ridiculous.
And that's what Meltzer was saying, was that, freaking Seth Rollins keeps tweeting about CM Punk, keeps tweeting about a match with CM Punk, keeps bringing up CM Punk, on Raw, and about having a match with CM Punk. According to Punk, at least, from the things that have been put out over the internet, again, internet, who knows, he has no intention of coming back and wrestling. Like, there's no intention of that.
Yeah.
So when you're hyping this match up like Seth Rollins is doing, all you're doing is getting people like Beef more and more geeked up and worked up in the trousers about seeing this Seth Rollins CM Punk, once in a lifetime match. And Vince McMahon might not be able to deliver it because, in all honesty, Punk isn't under a wrestling contract, so Vince cannot force him to do it. If Vince finally gets to the point where he's like, look, fucking Seth has opened his mouth one too many times, and I have to make this match happen. At that point, CM Punk can literally name his price. He can name whatever much money he wants, and if Vince McMahon wants to make that match happen, he will pay CM Punk dump trucks full of dollar bills. I'm
gonna have the best match ever. It's gonna be CM Punk versus CM Punk.
And all of a sudden, from freaking wherever he's at, you're gonna see a giant mushroom cloud of boner come up wherever Beef is. CM Punk versus CM Punk. I'm subscribing to the network. I'm buying all the merch. Here's my foamy title belt.
I did read a story today where and I forget, it may have been Meltzer's quote, but I can't recall exactly, but it basically was more of like a more if than when scenario with Punk, because he's gonna get some big fat like stupid work 7 days a year contract, work WrestleMania, the Saudi shows, SummerSlam and Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, make $80 million a fucking appearance like Brock Lesnar. And I mean, why not? And that's what I'm saying. Like every time that Seth Rollins says one fucking word, like that's the fans' expectations. And yeah, you know what? For me, that'd be a huge deal to see CM Punk come back, whether it's against Rollins or fucking Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe. I don't give a fuck. Whoever it is, it would be awesome. and cathartic, really, to see CM Punk back in a WWE ring. But
and you'll have those psycho CM Punk marks just like Beef, who will lose their shit if CM Punk comes back and wrestles one match. It doesn't even have to be a Legends contract or a Lesnar contract or whatever. If he comes back and wrestles one match, it's going to be people are going to lose their shit.
They know what they're doing. Who was it? Somebody threw a go to sleep. Matt Riddle threw a go to sleep at War Games, and I think Nakamura did one at Survivor Series, which got the crowd all riled up for CM Punk. They know exactly what they're doing. Vince is testing 100%. The waters to see to see whether, and I mean, obviously it's Chicago, but even. Fair. Notwithstanding Chicago, it still crops up in other venues across the country. Vince is kind of like testing the waters here, so he's a smart dude.
Well, to be fair, that's not the first time that we've. Yeah. There we go. To be fair, that hasn't been the first time that Matt Riddle uses the go to sleep. I mean, hell, Dakota Kai uses it. Yeah, the bro to sleep, or Dakota Kai, the GT knee or something like that, or GTK, the go to kick or go to knee or something.
Can we talk about Dakota Kai? Because
thank God,
man,
that was such a vicious heel turn, and I loved it. Honestly, if Ransom, I don't know, I doubt you've had a chance to go back and watch War Games, but I mean, honestly, man, like, go back and watch it. It's really good. Just the viciousness of Dakota Kai's heel turn. I wasn't sure that they were going to pull the trigger that night. I felt it coming for a little while with the whole Mia Yim getting on the women, Ripley's team and stuff. And then I don't know what happened during the pre-show. I still didn't see that, whether it was Mia Yim being attacked by a quote unquote mysterious person or what. But then Dakota Kai gets put in and I'm like, ooh, I was like, I don't know if they're going to go through with the heel turn tonight, but that would be kind of crazy. And then sure enough, man, fucking A. Like, wow.
For the longest time, I thought that she was going to be the fourth member of Team Baszler. I'm like, oh man, they're writing the story for you. Like, sorry, Dakota, you're not good enough to be on my team. And Baszler's like, you know what? Fuck it. And like, so, and then when they didn't, I'm like, okay. So they're telling the other story of where Dakota Kai is going to be the savior of Team Ripley, and she's going to get the win over Baszler and start this big fucking monumental push for her, which, is okay. Dakota Kai is not, mind-blowing, but she's pretty damn good. Yeah. But yeah, like when she comes out of the cage and she pauses, I'm like, oh
no.
And like shit gets fucking real. So like it was so perfectly executed, whether you saw it coming, whether you didn't. I mean, and yeah, if you're reading the tea leaves, it was kind of there. But I mean, man, like, and that's something I don't remember when I mentioned it, but that's something that I think AEW does well too. Like they don't outbook themselves out of a corner. Like sometimes you like the MJF heel turn, which was again another one that was done flawlessly. Sometimes you can know something is coming, and you don't have to throw in a stupid fucking twist just because everybody knows it. Sometimes you can do the exact thing everybody expects, and it can still be amazing. And I think that Dakota Kai is proof positive of that. And while it is kind of reminiscent of what Io Shirai did earlier this year with Candice LeRae, this feels better, I think. Now I think Io is a wonderful heel, but I mean the whole thing with her and Candice was kind of like it felt a little kind of jumbled and rushed. But the whole thing with Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox feels right to me.
Well, there's more to it there because Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox were like best friends and a good tag team together and stuff. They had Team Kick. Candice LeRae and Io Shirai were never like any sort of established unit or anything like that on, together. They were just, they're friends. Okay. Everybody's friends with everybody to some degree backstage, I'm sure. But, like this, you felt more emotionally invested with this.
Exactly.
The one other thing I wanted to bring up real quick about War Games was I was really surprised. And maybe this could have been, I don't want to go back into talking about Morrow, but this does bear a little bit of acknowledgement that after that very end spot with Ciampa and Adam Cole, Morrow made mention of Britt Baker, and they actually showed her there on TV. Like, she was in the crowd, just the look of like, oh my fucking God, like my boyfriend's dead. So I was really surprised to hear him mention Britt Baker by name, and and them show her. I was like, oh, okay then. Like,
no accident. That was not an accident at all, because you have. So Vince is going to take the shots when he can get them. And you're like, hey, look, an AEW wrestler at my event. How many NXT guys are you going to see at AEW on Wednesday?
Yeah, but see, the difference is, okay, there are two reasons why there's a difference. Number one, I feel like AEW would not really give a shit because they're like, hey, free publicity on a much larger stage. Number two, I really feel like it should be an understood thing. It's like, okay, they're married, right?
No, they're just dating.
Okay,
yeah.
They're just dating, so there's still hope. The sorry, Adam.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can. There's still hope yet for you to suckle his balls. That's good.
That's what I was thinking too.
Hey, this guy with the jokes though.
Hey, that's why I'm one of your greatest sponsors.
Here's the joke.
But my point is, it's like they're in a relationship, a long-term relationship. Like it should be understood. It's like, of course you'd want to be there to support him. It's erroneous if you think otherwise. I don't know.
For whenever Britt wins the AEW women's title, is Adam Cole in the crowd there?
No, because Vince.
Vince will fucking nail his ass to the wall.
I believe that to be true. Yes.
And that's the
but
difference.
That's the thing. Like, and I don't understand. Again, I can't put myself in Vince McMahon's shoes. I'm nowhere near as smart or insane. But let's just not say things we can't take back, Beef. Like it's, I don't know. Depending on the audience, like who's it really helping and who's it hurting? So like I can't remember who it was. It was either Beef or Pooter. Well, Tom, because there's only the other three of you. Somebody said, like, well, you're not going to show a NXT guy on AEW, but we'll show an AEW guy on NXT. Ha 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 ha. But like, yeah, is that really the message that's being delivered to the audience, or is it, like, hey, check out this awesome AEW wrestler that they mentioned. I'm going to go and see what she's all about because women's wrestling is hot. So we're gonna go check. Baker. Yeah, we're gonna go check out Britt Baker. So like, I don't know, like who.
Giggity.
I don't even know if it's really helping or hurting anybody. Because you. You know what I mean? Like I can't decide. And honestly, I don't know if it's that big of a deal. Like everybody else knows that these other wrestlers are part of these other promotions, and that other promotions exist. And I think the more eyes you get on the wrestling product, the better it's going to be for everybody. And regardless of whether Vince thinks that, I think that's the reality. Is that the more eyes you get on the.
So good.
No, you're good. I'm done. I was just rambling.
I was gonna say I kind of feel like this might have been a Triple H call. It'd be like, okay, let's give the Mark something, like a wink nudge, like, okay, let's give the smart Mark something to kind of fucking lose their shit about, and everybody goes, oh my God, it's Britt Baker on NXT, here we are, fucking like 5 minutes deep into a discussion about it,
Nah, not that deep, but
so it's working. It's working. Whatever.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Triple H seems like a guy who like does like and we know this to be true. Does a lot of like tongue in cheek things like yeah. So like it wasn't like I wasn't like creaming into my pants like Beef is over CM Punk possibly returning. I was just right. I just thought it was I thought it was nice, and I was kind of surprised because the fact of how much they crucified Sammy for mentioning AEW how many months ago. Now you're in an actual ratings war with them on a weekly basis, and it's like, oh, here you go.
Yeah, like, speaking of the bipolar part, you hit the nail on the head there, Tom.
It just surprised me.
You shit on Sami Zayn for mentioning AEW. Like he only mentioned like one little tiny snippet of it. He mentioned, and then he gets the fucking dust up, and then not so many months later, you're showing an actual AEW wrestler on camera, mentioning her by name at one of your events.
But Sami Zayn was on a couple episodes of Being the Elite, like as a background guy. I remember.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, like they were.
I don't think I knew that.
Filming. The Bucks were filming something, and like Sami Zayn was in the background, and it was just like a real quick like.
They were in Canada, and Sammy was there as well, and like it was just like hey. That's all it was.
So
that. Like exactly.
Okay, so they could be playing more into it then.
Right, exactly. And I mean, I think that was Owens. I don't know, but like Owens has a little bit more clout, I think, than Zayn at this point, because at this point, Owens might be the hardest thing WWE has going for us, seeing as they fucking murdered and like ruined the Fiend after 2 months.
Well, let's not say things we can't take back yet.
Before you go further, I saw you guys freak out in the chat about that, and I didn't see it. What the hell happened with him?
With who? With who? The Fiend?
The Fiend. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't notice anybody freaking out. Wait, who was freaking out in the chat about the Fiend?
Well, to me, and it may just be me then.
That explains it. Reaction, right?
Yeah, right. Well, the beef jerky, the beef jerky reaction.
We're just gonna call it the beef jerky corner.
The beef jerky reaction TM. So to me,
too much is right.
Fuck you, Poot.
Wait. Beef, go delete your Twitter now.
All right,
that's very hurtful.
But I mean, to me, it just feels like the shine is off the Fiend. Like this is only the third time we've seen a match with the Fiend. Like they were talking through the entrance, so it's like that mystification wasn't there. I feel like they need to do something with him. They need something more than a good feud. And I mean, Daniel Bryan's the guy to do it, because Daniel Bryan, Poot, you mentioned in the chat that Daniel Bryan, like the will he won't he like face turn Daniel Bryan's going to be huge. Like this is a great spot for both those guys. But I mean, to me, the Fiend, the character is just kind of like, oh, okay,
like he's just some other guy now.
Exactly. Like
he's just some other guy. Like and
I think it's
you can't really say that someone is going to be like the next Undertaker, because no one can duplicate what the Undertaker did. But at the same token, it's like look at all the things that you did to protect that character all the time, through the entrances, through the matches, through the post match. Like everything was very deliberately done for that character. So why can't you deliberately do something for the Fiend's character to make him that larger than life personality? Like you're just not. It doesn't seem like they're doing that. It seems like he's just some other wrestler now.
Here's an example. Like the Undertaker, even though we only see him a couple of times a year, it always feels kind of special, because you never know. Like whether you're gonna get the classic Taker, or like the biker, or the old gunslinger. Like Taker always kind of reinvents himself. Another excellent example is the Demon. Like Finn Balor's the Demon is never quite the same. There's always a little bit of a different kind of aura to it, and it always feels more hype. Like when Bray came through as the Fiend at SummerSlam, I'm like, oh man, this is so fucking money. And then at Hell in a Cell, they had an incredible match, and it was perfectly laid out, and like the red light was cool, and it was a really cool like horror movie kind of style effect, and then they blew the ending. I'm like, oh boy, that could hurt. And now it just feels like it's on wash, rinse, repeat. Like they keep doing the red light for the match, and the matches are mostly the same, and it's like, man,
I like the red light for the Seth Rollins match, but man, now it's exhausting. Like I want to see
if that was a one and done. If that was a one and done, fine. I mean, personally, I didn't even like it as a one and done. But if you're going to do that every time he wrestles, my God, that's old.
It's just,
my God, you lose
the nuance of like how the Fiend looks. You lose nuance, like when it gets washed out in a color like that. You just do.
And that may be it. It may be the stupid red light that makes me go, eh. Like, that could well be it. I don't know. But something is not clicking with that character the way that it was the first 2 times I saw him. And I hope it's not just because I've seen him 2 more times since then, because that would be a huge bummer. But I mean, like, somebody even mentioned it, like the special effects guy, the prop guy that made his the lantern, said, you haven't seen anything yet. Like, let's fucking back that up. And I realize you can't be dropping like super cool things every other month, and I get all of that. I still think that him being the champion is the wrong thing. I think we need to see him less than we see Lesnar, because less is more in some cases. And we want to see Lesnar more because we want to see the title defended. But, I mean, The Fiend, like, let's see Firefly Funhouse every couple of weeks. Let's see The Fiend twice a year. And that's going to make it special.
I'd even be okay, and maybe it's mixing too much with, The Fiend and the Demon. But I'd even be more okay if we saw Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt wrestle just as him in the sweater.
Exactly.
That's how he wrestles. And then every, like you said, Beef, every 2 or 3 times a year, you get the Fiend. And so, I would like that, but again, I could see how that could be, muddied with the whole, like, well, they're just doing the same thing with Bray Wyatt as they do with Finn Balor. Because he's Finn Balor all the time, and then every once in a while he comes out as the Fiend. So you don't want to do that, at the same time with Bray Wyatt, but if you see him at every pay-per-view, you're almost, like you said, Beef, you're losing that mystique and that, like, woo, the Fiend's coming.
I mean, but Vince already devalues wrestling fans' intelligence. Look at Sunday Night, for an example, where you have the women's Survivor Series 5-on-5-on-5 match, and Michael Cole says, because when Io and Candice went back for their quote-unquote injuries, Michael Cole says, it's a triple threat match. There's no disqualification. Okay, but then 2 hours later, in a 5-on-5-on-5 match with the men, Braun Strowman gets counted out, which we know wouldn't fly in a triple threat match. So Vince is constantly insulting wrestling fans' IQ and like their memories. So I don't think that'd be a big deal to have like that kind of like dichotomy. And even if you do, I think it sets up for a killer return to the main roster. Well, my God, I can't keep saying main roster. It sets up a killer return to SmackDown for Finn Balor to play as the guy who can finally beat the Demon. The two guys who are like calling on alter egos to compete.
Hot take. What's the over-under on, instead of Roman Reigns at Mania, it is the Fiend, or the Fiend versus Demon, and Demon takes it and gets that Universal title back as he should have rightfully had it, and then moves on, continuing as, kind of more this Prince Devitt thing he has going on.
The same chances that we have to see Roman Reigns, or the same chances we have to see Rollins versus Punk. Very, very, very slim. Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think they're gonna be doing a lot of good things with Balor down in NXT. So I mean,
yes,
I know it's a very heavy stacked roster down there as far as like the top couple of guys. Like, put it this way, around Mania time, you're gonna be pushing Adam Cole out the door of NXT and probably bringing him on Raw or SmackDown anyways. You don't necessarily have to. I mean, because obviously NXT shows like that they have the talent that they can put on these damn good matches and stuff like that. Regardless, they don't have to be considered the quote unquote main roster. Which I love the fact that Champ, during one of the episodes, he said to AJ Styles, he's like, "Welcome to the main roster," and I'm like, "Fucking A, right? Yeah." But I don't know. I think around WrestleMania time, you're probably going to get, that breakup of the Undisputed Era. You're probably going to get Cole going to one of the two shows. Or if you don't break up the Undisputed Era, then you're going to take the gold off them and you're going to have them make their exodus out of NXT. And then who are you going to have there at the top? Probably Charler, Riddle, Keith Lee. Four heavy hitters right there.
I don't, and here's why. I think Survivor Series proved a very important point, and I think that this is exactly what they were going for. That NXT can exist both by itself and in the same vacuum as Raw versus SmackDown. And we got to talk about NXT really kind of killing it at Survivor Series, but I think especially because NXT is up against AEW head-to-head. Like, they are going to continue to have their own individual takeovers, which is perfect for them.
Yeah.
But I think on the big shows, your Royal Rumbles, your WrestleManias, your SummerSlams, your Survivor Series, you're going to see NXT matches on those shows too, because God knows there's room enough on the card. And then
So
for the undercard shows, you can do other bullshit like Rusev versus Lashley, etc.
So let me ask you, going off of that beef, do you think, and I know it's a little early to be talking about it, but it's one of my favorite pay-per-view. It's probably my absolute favorite pay-per-view, and it just reminds me of it. Do you think now that they've kind of blended it with this Survivor Series with Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, do we see more NXT people showing up in the Royal Rumble? Not just like a one-off, but like
I think
more of a
we've seen
blend
that
between the three.
Well, we've already started to see it.
Yeah. Like last year they had what? Well, 3 or 4, maybe 5 in the women's Rumble, with Rhea Ripley being the standout. And then in the men's Rumble, you had, I think, 2 or 3, Cole, Andrade are 2 that I can think of off the top of my head. And I'm sure that there were more. So, like, I think, yeah, I mean, we've already started to see it, because this is, honestly, I think that this NXT, quote-unquote push has been coming for a long time. That they've been kind of building, and now we're to the point where I think it's going to be treated as a third brand, but it's also in a unique position because it is the one going head-to-head with AEW, that it's also going to have its own, like, pay-per-views by itself. So, and as long as NXT continues to produce the quality that NXT is producing right now, I got no problem with that. More NXT, the better.
So how long do you think it's going to be until we see somebody who is on NXT and not like, moved up to like a Raw, I don't want to say up, but like not moved to a Raw or a SmackDown, but somebody who's strictly NXT win the Rumble?
Ooh.
So how long do you think it's going to be until somebody is in NXT, they win the Rumble, and they don't get moved to Raw or SmackDown? They stay on NXT.
I think it's more likely. I think it's more likely that you'll see an NXT Rumble before you see that happen.
I think you're more likely to see somebody from NXT win a Money in the Bank before you see the Royal Rumble, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can see them try branding Money in the Bank as well, and having 3 guys from NXT, 3 guys from Raw, 3 guys from SmackDown, all competing, in the ladder matches, and the same for the women. So, and at
that point, do you think it's, you win if it's a blended Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Money in the Bank, is it you win the Money in the Bank, you can cash in on either Universal, WWE, or NXT? Like, you get the option to choose.
Awesome, right?
Yeah, like how awesome would it be to have, a Raw, SmackDown, and NXT blended Money in the Bank match, and the winner of that match cashes in on the NXT champion, not the Raw or SmackDown champion?
I mean, so I think you're going to start seeing the NXT title at the bigger pay-per-views. I think you'll definitely see the NXT title defended at WrestleMania. Maybe not the secondary titles, maybe the women's title, but definitely the men's title. But I mean, if you're going to pull that trigger, man, honestly, and this is just the mark in me talking, but this is the year. Keith Lee is huge, and I'm not just talking like in terms of stature. Like, he's super over, and he can fucking do a Spanish fly. I mean, get out of town. So, like, if you're gonna have NXT guy come from nowhere and just like win, Keith Lee's the dude to do it. But that being said, this is Roman Reigns' year. He's beating cancer. Why can't he beat up 29 other guys? So,
like, are we gonna have to freaking have Roman Reigns win the Rumble again? You still think that's gonna happen?
Oh
He's
yeah.
Going to.
Oh yeah. I can book WrestleMania for you right now if you wanted to. It's probably gonna be it's probably gonna be Reigns versus The Fiend. It's probably gonna be Kane versus Lesnar. Cain Velasquez, not the actual good Kane.
Sorry,
Cain Velasquez versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE title.
I feel like Velasquez versus Lesnar is going to give me cancer. Sorry, Roman.
It's gonna be terrible. I think you're probably gonna see if they could draw it out this long, Ciampa versus Cole for the NXT title. I bet I get this feeling that we are going to see Punk versus Rollins at WrestleMania, and probably Kairi Sane involved in something because it's at Tampa Bay and they have a big pirate ship in the stadium, so she's the pirate princess. So it
she's
writes
not.
itself.
But she's not the pirate princess anymore. She's like the Japanese parasol waving geisha sort of whatever. I don't know.
It's fair.
So who's Roman Reigns facing at Mania?
Probably
The
the
Fiend.
Fiend.
And beating the Fiend for the Blue Universal title.
The Blue Universal title.
Right there is that would be it for me. Like, as far as the Fiend goes, like at that point, he is absolutely 100% just another wrestler.
Yeah.
You're gonna feed him to Roman Reigns and have Roman Reigns beat him clean for the title. Whatever.
He would have to go away for a long, long time to remedy.
Yeah, but didn't he just debut this year?
Yeah.
No, and that's
so you get 1 year of him. He gets beaten by Roman Reigns, and then he has to go away for a long time. Like, man, what a bummer for freaking Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, that steak dinner is going further and further away as the year goes on and on and on.
Well, it's gone.
I mean, welcome to my world since WrestleMania 30, where I'm like, man, this Bray Wyatt is awesome. And then, like, just continually, oh, man, what a bummer for Bray Wyatt. Oh, man, what a bummer for Bray Wyatt. Like, that's like, fucking stuck on repeat. What a bummer for Bray Wyatt. It sucks.
And I don't get it. Like, why, man? He could be amazing if you did it right, and they're just not doing it right.
And that's the problem, is that early on, he had creative control. I believe that. He had a lot of say, if not complete, most creative control over this. And because he was the one steering the ship, everything was great, and it was exactly what he wanted. And when he felt comfortable, and that's a big thing. When wrestlers, the people, feel comfortable in their character, they're going to perform exponentially better than if they don't feel comfortable in their character. He was doing what he wanted. I mean, Rotunda was doing what he wanted, and he had it. And the second that it started making money hand over fist, it got taken away from him. I believe that.
Yep.
I believe that's the way that's working.
And I read an article, something about him not being comfortable with the direction that his character's in, and I'm like, well,
Yep.
Yeah, no shit.
Creative control.
Oh, what a bummer.
I know. We're getting long in the tooth for Tom having to peace out a little bit early this time.
No worries. No worries on that. I was just going to ask what else you guys were going to discuss. What I had to look forward to going back and listening to whatever I end up missing out on.
I was going to say we've gone pretty deep on a lot of stuff. I think
honestly, I think it bears discussion, the fact that NXT won 4 matches at Survivor Series, and the best match at the pay-per-view was an NXT exclusive match. I think that is a worthy topic.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you guys go with that. And before we do, Beef, would you like to thank the sponsors and then the sponsor?
Would you like to thank me, Beef, before I leave?
Yeah, sure.
Would you? Or would you like me to do it myself? Because I'll do it myself again.
Thank you for leaving, Tom. Bye.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. No more T-shirts for you guys.
Let's be sure to thank our nepotism here. We definitely want to do what we do want to thank Tom, and in all seriousness, because I know that a lot of people come over from Tom's pages, and
hey, I'm going to be plugging you guys. You got this logo on the slideshow going all stream long, baby. Constant advertisement. That's what your sponsor does. That's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go plug you guys while I play my game. So
I'm gonna go have fun without you assholes and still talk about you.
No. I'm probably gonna go get my ass handed to me. I've literally been sitting here while we've been getting long in the tooth, and I've been not interrupting or anything like that. I've been sitting here dying continuously on this part of the game that I'm stuck on. So I've been side questing. I'm a multitasker.
Sweet.
Yes.
So we would like to thank our multitasking, nepotistic sponsor, Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom over here for the
uppercut.
There you go. For his awesome content on his pages over at Casual Gaming Dad on Facebook. Like him, subscribe, check him out on Twitch, Casual Gaming Dad 84. Also on the YouTubes under Casual Gaming Dad. Subscribe, check him out. Don't be a troll. Be a cool guy, not a troll guy. As well
and
as
if you do try to troll me, I'm not going to delete my page. So kiss my ass.
Oh.
And of course, we definitely want to thank Sean Tischler and his work with IWC. Keep your eyes and ears peeled on the Facebook page of the IWC Clearfield page for further announcements about the spring show there, which I'm sure that we're already super excited about. So definitely thank Sean and everything that he's done with us there and with them. So with that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Poot.
I was going to say, right before you leave, Tom, we talked about, like if if you're going to troll me and stuff like that. I posted the video whenever it was locked that I held on to my Cruiserweight Championship over here. I posted the video, and there was some guy on the video, and he said, was it gaps for everyone or something like that, talking about my teeth. Because I have that front gap in my front teeth, and I was just like, yeah, but I can fucking do this, and I think that's kind of neat. So
plus, you're a handsome man, which he was probably very well not. So
well, I was just
He's
like,
just jealous.
I was just like, oh, as a matter of fact, the first thought when I read that was, oh, he made fun of my teeth and not my weight. What a good guy.
Isn't that the best when when you're an overweight fella, and I can say that because I am, and you're like, oh, they picked something else out over calling me fat. Look at you being creative.
Yeah,
they get the tertiary burn. It's like, okay, man, all right, creativity.
No, I was like, he didn't go for the low hanging fruit. He went for something a little bit higher. It was great.
Yeah.
Not much higher, but that's
why I don't ever try to make fun of Beef for his weight. I make fun of him for his lack of English skills. That's all.
Which is a fair point.
But on that note, you guys have a good rest of the podcast, and I'll catch up with you on the chat here. It's very soon after. So,
all right,
later,
Bye,
Tom.
Have a great stream.
Bye,
Later,
Tom.
Tom.
Bye.
So, Beef, what were you saying the NXT match of the match of the night was an NXT match? What match was that?
He was saying, "Suck
Cole.
my dick, Tom."
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
wow.
That's saying fuck you, Tiger Bomb. Anyway,
Jeez.
so I'm only saying it because he's gone now. So the
big man.
I know exactly right. So match of the night for me at Survivor Series, far and away, like the women's 5-on-5 match was pretty good and booked very well. But the match of the night for me was Cole versus Dunn, which I wouldn't expect anything different. But it's very clear that they gave them the spotlight. That they said, hey, you guys go out there, take the time, put on the style of match that is going to blow people away. And, they came through 100%. And then, NXT, the only match that NXT didn't win, no, I take that back. They lost the 5-on-5 men's, but, Keith Lee had a hell of a showing. So, you kind of got to give that one to him as well. And, the Undisputed Era should have fucking gone over, and I don't know why the fuck they didn't. I get it. You're pushing the Viking Raiders pretty hard. Okay, that's cool. But, the Undisputed Era should have won that match, too. But, that being said, you can't quibble at all with a 4-1-1 or a 5-1-1 record, or a 5-2-1, excuse me. So, they and NXT stood out, and I think that that's a good thing, because obviously,
definitely.
What's funny to me is that now they got the Rollins doing the Raw angle where Raw came up short and only won one match, and it was on the pre-show, obviously SmackDown paid, or Fox paid their money for SmackDown to not look like a secondhand citizen, but this was all about getting NXT over, and getting eyes on the product on Wednesday nights. It's very clear that they're invested in NXT beating AEW. So, but here's my thing. NXT beat AEW in the ratings for the first time last week because it was littered with Raw and SmackDown superstars. Bayley, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, to name a few. But I mean, like, they were all over the place. If that's what you got to do to beat AEW, like that's a testament to AEW, 100%.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, that's the thing is, like, because I teach my lessons on Wednesday nights, and then whenever I'm done, I just kind of want to like chill, and generally I'm trying to get to bed earlier. I don't get to watch AEW that often, but when I do, it's always entertaining. Like Raw, I'll tell you how I watched Raw this week. I did the Hulu special. I watched the opening promo, and then I glossed over everything and went, oh, okay, I got the gist of what happened. Takes me all 20 minutes. If that. But AEW, whenever I watch it, I want to watch the whole damn thing. Same thing with NXT. I mean,
it's entertaining. It's entertaining. You should DVR them, both of them, because they're both great shows, to be honest with you.
Well, NXT I have easily, it's easily accessible. Like, I can go back and watch NXT. AEW, on the other hand, not so much. But
it's on the TNT app, on demand, I believe.
Oh, neat. I'll have to look at that.
But, I mean, so here's something else to think about as well, to kind of, since we're on the Wednesday Night War discussion. Like, right now, it seems like AEW is getting about consistently anywhere between 1.2 and, 900,000, somewhere between there. NXT's climbing very rapidly from, like, 500 to 700 to 900,000. If you had these two products on different nights, do you think you'd have better ratings for either of these shows? Because right now you're getting a house divided. You have to choose to watch AEW or have to choose to watch NXT and DVR the other one. So, like, if the fan base wasn't divided, do you think that both of these shows would be drawing better ratings than Raw and SmackDown? Because I think it's conceivable.
Ransom?
Oh, 100%. I think if you had NXT and AEW on different nights and you weren't splitting the fan base, 100% beef. I think both AEW and NXT would consistently draw bigger numbers than on SmackDown. Definitely. And while I was excited to have AEW come on TV and excited to have NXT come on TV, I was a little bummed out that they were going to be on the same night and the same time slot, because this is exactly what was going to happen: is you're split audiences between those two shows, whether they're watching one live and the other. I think they consistently put on better shows than both Raw and SmackDown easily. And I think the fan base would probably reflect that.
So here's something, and okay. We could probably dovetail this a little bit, but Kato, who we've referenced on the show before, is a acquaintance to friend. I would call Kato a friend of mine, and we are obviously Facebook friends. So him and I debate a lot, especially during pay-per-views, because we have two totally different visions of the product.
Totally.
I think that Kato is very much like a wrestling purist, and I don't want to sully his name and like compare him to Jim Cornette, but in that very same vein. Now, I don't think he's as crazy as Cornette is, and he's like, I have all the respect in the world for the man, because he, like, we never missed a KCW show. Like, we would drive from like 60 miles away to see KCW every single month. He put on awesome shows that had a little bit of everything for everybody, well booked, good stories, great wrestling.
And we would also get lost in Altoona.
Yes, but all that notwithstanding, I think he used the phrase, follow the money, on Sunday night. He put out a thought that maybe Adam Cole was not as good as everybody says he is, that he's bad at his job because the crowds are cheering him, which there's some merit to that.
He also said it was a controversial opinion.
That's also true. But so I think that he would view shows like Raw and SmackDown as a better show because it is drawing a larger audience, because it is drawing more money to the product. And like we've said before, it seems like the WWE branded pay-per-views seem to be more watched than takeovers for whatever reason. So like, while yes, wrestling purists, and the reason I bring this up is because AEW and NXT are two completely separate shows from what Raw and SmackDown are. Raw and SmackDown are very much story-driven. Okay, you're going to get a lot of mic work, you're going to get a lot of vignettes, and you're going to get some wrestling. With AEW and NXT, you're going to get a lot of wrestling, a little bit of mic work, and some vignettes. And so that's just like two schools of thought. And I mean, they're both good in their own right, but like us as like, the hoity-toity IWC, internet wrestling community folk, wrestling should be wrestling, and we want 5-star matches every single match. Like, give us 87 Canadian destroyers on the apron. So like, we view NXT and AEW as the superior show because it is catering to our needs, which is that like classic, like great wrestling. But, Raw and SmackDown are building upon what WWEF has been doing for the last 50 years, which is building stories and integrating them into that product. Is one better than the other? Hard to say. Would AEW and NXT have like, so in a perfect world, you think, okay, and we don't understand how ratings work. We don't work with Nielsen or whatever. So like, I don't know if like the people who are DVRing one show versus the other, I don't know if that counts towards rating or not. But, obviously mental math says, okay, well, if AEW was on Tuesday nights, they'd get, the other 900,000 that are watching NXT, so they'd be drawing a consistent 2, and NXT would be drawing a consistent 2 on Wednesday nights. And I don't know that it would work out that way because they're niche, and I hate to say that with like tongue-in-cheek like I am, but they are kind of like niche wrestling, whereas I think Raw and SmackDown are a little bit more accessible to the masses, if that makes any sense at all.
Do you think you might see a shift in that? Because, and I use myself as an example of this, if we hadn't started, like doing this podcast, and, like if I didn't have, you two guys who are, in my opinion, bigger wrestling fans, historically than I have been, before we started this adventure, I never watched NXT.
Joke?
What's that? No, no.
Was that a fat joke?
No, no. I'd make fun of your raggedy ass goatee before I'd make fun of you being fat. Like I never watched NXT. Like it just wasn't. I don't know why. I had no rhyme or reason for not watching it. I just didn't. Like it was Raw and SmackDown. I watched the Raw and SmackDown pay-per-views. I never watched Takeover. Until you guys were like, "Hey man, you've got to start watching NXT. It's amazing." And then when I started watching it, sure, I was on the NXT bandwagon because, it was, in my opinion, far better than Raw and SmackDown. But if you're the casual wrestling fan who, knew WWF back in the day, if you just strictly watched Raw and SmackDown, maybe you start to see a little bit of that shift now. If they're going to start featuring NXT people on the main WWE pay-per-views, if you're going to have NXT matches there, maybe you get more of a shift of people going over to NXT going, oh, I never thought about watching NXT before because me as a casual wrestling fan, I thought it was just developmental, but now they're being featured on these big pay-per-views. I'm going to go over and start watching more of these shows. Maybe they get more viewers now, and, maybe you stop seeing that separation between the Raw and SmackDown and the NXT viewership. Maybe that starts to balance out.
Poot?
Yes, no, maybe.
I I don't think it would change much. I think it's actually beneficial to have this little Wednesday night war going on for both brands. If you had them on opposite nights, I feel like AEW would be just fine, but I think the shine would wear off them a lot quicker than it will with this Wednesday night war going on. And the thing is that's cool, we've been singing the praises, as most people have been, about NXT and how great NXT is and how talented the performers are and how consistently that's the program that I would watch every week. I would miss Raw, I would miss SmackDown, I'd just read about it or I'd watch highlights or whatever. But NXT I would sit down and watch. And then now, because they're trying to compete with AEW and they're trying to show, look at this wealth of talent, and they're being, with people who are defecting, for lack of a better term, back from the main roster to NXT, like Finn Balor. And I could see eventually Kevin Owens.
I'd love it.
If they don't really pull the trigger on something bigger for him, I could see it being something really beneficial for him to go back to NXT. And just think of the wars. Oh, KO versus Dream, KO versus Adam Cole, KO versus
Ciampa, baby.
I mean, KO Ciampa. I could even though you ran into it on the main roster, down in NXT, Balor versus Owens. Like Balor now. Like cool heel Prince Devitt-ish Balor. You know what I mean? So, but then on the other hand, it's making AEW prove themselves, and it's making AEW put on the best product they possibly can. I feel like it's keeping them on their toes. So I have said this numerous times over the podcast's history. This is the best time to be a wrestling fan. It really is, man. Mm-hmm. NJPW is great, even though they're having a lot of issues, and supposedly they're going to be losing their arguably biggest star in Marty Scurll. Ring of Honor. I mean, there's so many great guys over there. Like Matt Taven, for God's sake. Even though it was said, apparently, Joey Mercury put it out that they were saying they can't get Matt Taven over. Well, I mean, you can't force an audience to like someone. We've seen that happen in Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and see how that obviously goes. You have to let people have the reins. You can't micromanage them. But Rose still has some good wrestling. I mean, and even though they're closing, a lot of indies are closing in the UK scene is great. NXT UK is phenomenal. Like, I mean, even though that's in the WWE ecosystem, British wrestling has gone to a global stage. You hear more about these people that are over there busting their asses. I mean, for God's sake, Walter, the deafening chants of Walter.
Oh my God!
How fucking pissed people were that he was the sacrificial lamb in that Survivor Series match. He was the first one out. That was a shocker to me. I would have sworn up and down that Damian Priest was going to be the first one out, or Shorty G. I really did.
Yeah, the crowd turned real fucking hostile when Walter went out, and
to the credit of the other performers, they brought him back. They brought him back. They did.
I said this on my review. To me, that was the worst match on the card, and by far, because it was booked so poorly. The only thing I had going for it at the end was Keith Lee with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins standing tall.
I agree, but they still, hook or by crook, they brought him back. Yeah, people aren't forgetting about it, but people still stuck in. They didn't just have chance of Walter, bullshit, whatever. Like, they didn't do that.
That's
and
true.
To be perfectly honest with you, I guarantee you that Walter was on board because he understands the psychology behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee
yeah,
you,
100%.
because I can tell you right now, Walter is somebody that if he didn't want to do something, he wouldn't. And you're not going to make Walter do something he doesn't want to do. Like, he has that aura about him, and from what I understand, that's how he handles himself as a professional. Like, you know, like he is very professional, but apparently he can be a very like stern guy. And to be fair, he in that match, NXT UK is probably watched the least over every single other like proper like SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and NXT UK. It's you know, what would it be, quadulary, not tertiary or anything. It would be fourth in line. That doesn't make it less. That doesn't make it bad, but he probably understands. You know what I mean? He's
also a fixture on NXT too. Like he was there for the debut, and he's been there a couple times. So I think we'll be seeing more Walter. To Ransom's original question, before we get all sidetracked with the Survivor Series stuff, as far as whether or not you're going to see a shift in paradigm, you know, I don't think you will, and here's why. And I kind of mentioned a little bit before, like, yes, to us, you know, who have watched wrestling for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever, like, we appreciate good wrestling. We want to see good wrestling and not see stupid bullshit, dumb stories like fucking Lana and Rusev. Okay, that's clear. But you can't argue with the history of their success, especially because you got it's just like playing the lottery, man. Like, you hit that big ticket, you're not going to stop playing the lottery. Your thought is, okay, well, now I can double down and I'm going to hit big again, and then I can get out. So, like, they're going to keep scratching off those tickets, man, and maybe they'll get another Attitude Era in terms of the social boom. Although I think realistically that's probably going to be between AEW and NXT, but that's, you know, a few years down the road. But realistically, you have that going for it, and like, you cannot dispute that right now there are more eyes on the product of Raw and SmackDown than there are of NXT and AEW. Even like, and I guarantee you, it's the damn filthy casuals. Like, you know, they people, and I don't know what it is, man. I couldn't tell you what draws people to watch Raw over or SmackDown over NXT or AEW, but there's just something, man. Like, so like, to me, until it is a proven thing that AEW and NXT are trumping, I hate using that word, are killing the ratings in versus SmackDown and Raw. And I mean, here's the thing. I think even once Vince, you know, goes the way of the dodo, I think you have people, hangers on, that are going to kind of like take over, that have the same kind of ideals. I'm looking at you, Steph. Like, I think that she's probably going to be much like her old man. I don't think, as everybody presumes, that Hunter's going to get the keys to the kingdom. I don't know that he would want them. I think that he is in love with what he's doing with NXT right now. And, I mean, it would almost be stupid not to want to have the bigger option. But, I mean, at the same time, like, what he's working with is so small and so like energetic and so like just filled with passion, versus like going to a bunch of people that are, I don't want to say uninspired, but I mean, you know, look at how many people are looking to get out of their contracts or have voice displeasure over the last year. You know, it's a laundry list. So like, it's easy to like work with people that have a fire for it and want to do it. and it's a lot more difficult to work with people that are like, okay, fuck this, I'm just doing my time, I'm pulling the Marshawn Lynch, I'm just here so I don't get fired. Like, it's so we will see, but I mean, at the end of the day, to me, and again, this is my opinion as kind of a smart mark, I think that NXT and AEW do a way better job of telling stories in their like little maybe 3-minute vignettes or like 5-minute promos, and like the actual stories contained in the matches themselves, versus like having the balderdash happening over everything. But that is certainly something that we can kind of table and come back to on a different topic, I think, or a different night, as it were.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move into this hot tag trivia.
So,
yes.
What's the order here? Because I know Ransom said you're asking Beef and I.
That's a good question, isn't it? So
I'll ask
you know
myself.
what, Ransom? That's not gonna work, dude.
Let's do Poot asks Beef, Beef asks me, and then I'll ask both of you.
That makes sense. Go ahead, Poot. Hit me.
All right. So, Beef, in the history of the Hulkster,
Brother.
there has been one man who has pinned Hulk Hogan 3 consecutive times.
Oh,
That's consecutive. Who is that man?
ooh, that's a good one. Oh, damn,
I will
no
be
idea.
Fucking shocked if you get this.
I've got no idea. That's a great question, Pooh. Damn.
That is a wonderful question. If it's who I'm thinking, it's not at all like contained, like within like a 2-year. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, when I say consecutive, it was 3 consecutive matches. Like
right, but it's not like 1987 to 1989. If it's what I'm thinking, it's like 1988 to like to like 1998. So I think it's the Ultimate Warrior, because I know for a fact he beat him WrestleMania 6 clean, WrestleMania 6. I can't say about a second one, but then whenever he appeared on Nitro as One Warrior Nation or whatever the fuck he was doing, he beat him clean there too. So it's the time in between that I can't verify, but I'm gonna say Ultimate Warrior.
All right, Ransom, do you have a guess?
No, I have no earthly idea.
Okay.
That's a hell of a question.
And I did some looking, and I tried to find the matches where I could substantiate this, but I looked it up, and there are a lot of people like this is an actual fact. I just could not find the 3 matches. That would be Billy Kidman.
What?
Shut up.
Nope. Not joking.
Wow.
So that's why Tori Wilson stuck around. Okay.
Brother.
I thought maybe it was because she had it once and then got the 7-year itch.
Oh, throwback.
All right,
I appreciate
Beef, you're up.
Poot. All right, Ransom.
Poot.
So this
Coming in hot.
This is another episode of Lyrics Pulled at Random, because Ransom, I know that you're a WWE theme guy like myself. I'm gonna try and stump you.
Okay.
So. These are just random lyrics from a theme song. Be a little fallen before, now it's your turn. History teaches, and I wrote the book.
Say it again.
Be a little fallen before, now it's your turn. History teaches, and I wrote the book. And just like last time, if you need a lifeline, I will give you the third line, but I think you may get it based upon the third line.
Be a little fallen before. Now it's your turn. 4. It's your turn. What was the third line?
Do you want the third line?
Well, no, like you said, be a little fallen before.
Okay.
Now it's your turn. Did you give me something else after that?
History teaches, and I wrote the book.
Be a little fallen before. Now it's your turn. History teaches, and I wrote the book. Be a little fallen before. Hold on. I'll get it. Shoot. Be a little fallen before. Now it's your turn. History teaches. The book. Be a little fallen before. Now it's your turn. History teaches, and I wrote the book. Turn up the trouble, Mr. Kennedy.
It sure is. Yes, sir. Good
Kennedy!
work, sir. That is pretty damn amazing. Because I was like, man, every other like line in this song, I'm like, if I feed you that, you're gonna get it 100%.
Turn up the trouble.
Like those are like the last, like those are lines 2 and 3 of the last stanza, which you never ever hear because it's an entrance theme. So the good work.
Kennedy. Oh, he was one of my favorites. I love Kennedy.
Right? Me
I still have a T-shirt. I don't think
he's
I
on.
can fit into it,
He's
but
on
I still have-
AEW Power.
You mean
I meant what I said.
NWA.
I meant what I said.
AEW Power. Hey,
He's on
real
NWA
quick,
now.
every so often.
Yeah,
Yeah,
every once in a while.
Well, now there's a reason for now, for sure.
I just real quick. I scoped Impact before we started watching tonight, and they were doing their like. It seriously feels like it was like a spoof on the spoof that like John Cena and Jericho and Fandango did. What were they called? Like the old school wrestling. You guys know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Southpaw Wrestling.
Southpaw. So
Southpaw
this was
Regional
like
Wrestling.
Yeah.
yes. So this was like a spoof on that, except with actual wrestling. It was so hard to watch, and all I can think of was like, man, like this is like a month and a half into their Access TV contract. Like it's way too early to be pulling gimmicky shit like that. There was like 50 people in the crowd, and none of them knew what to do with themselves. It was terrible. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Richard. That was a tangent and a half. So
Things are not looking good for Impact.
nope.
Oh my. Okay, so here's what I want. I want you guys to name this wrestler, and I'm going to give a series of little factoids, and I want you to name this wrestler. So the winner will be the first person who can name this wrestler. The caveat is you only get 2 guesses. So if you guess wrong twice, you're done. So first person to shout out the wrestler wins. I've compiled a nice little list, and it's either going to be super satisfying for me because it'll take to the end of the list for you to get it, or you'll get it on like the second or third clue that I give, and I'll be very depressed because I wrote down a whole bunch of shit. So, oh boy, here we go. He began his training in 1986. His first trainer was Buzz Sawyer. His first tag team partner was Soul Taker.
Oh, The Undertaker.
Fuck.
Yeah, I watched the Broken Skull session too.
Damn it.
I have not got around to watching that yet. Son of a bitch.
When you said the first
disappointed.
when you said the first one, he started training in '86. I was like, Taker started training in '86.
So disappointed.
I'm sorry, man. What were the other factoids?
That's hilarious. Yeah, man.
Other factoids were he went to WCW as part of the tag team The Skyscrapers.
Oh, that would have been it.
Yeah.
When his Skyscrapers tag team partner left WCW, WCW management told him, quote, "No one will ever pay money to see you wrestle." Boy,
It was
WCW
Arn Anderson.
really
I think Arn Anderson
Ole.
and Tully Ole and Tully Blanchard told him that.
Yep. Paul
Lord.
Heyman got him his first meeting with Vince for an interview with WWF. In the first meeting with Vince, when Vince asked him if he had any hidden talents, he said, "Well, I'm actually a pretty good singer. I sing in the shower pretty good." If you can imagine the Undertaker saying that. At the end of the meeting with Vince, Vince told him, "Well, we just don't have anything for you." When the giant egg showed up on WWF TV, the Undertaker was afraid that Vince was going to call him and offer him the job as Eggman.
He thought he
said if he didn't
shave his head and everything, and
shave his head and his eyebrows and be Eggman. If he didn't change his character when he did, he doesn't believe he would have made it through the Attitude Era. So he believes that if he hadn't gone to the American Badass, he didn't think that the Undertaker character would have made it through the Attitude Era. He thought it would have gotten stale. True. And then the last one was on the quote-unquote plane ride from hell. He woke up and saw Kurt Angle and Vince McMahon wrestling on the plane and thought Kurt Angle was fighting Vince, jumped up and put Kurt Angle in a chokehold and made Angle pass out before someone told him that Kurt and Vince were just playing around.
I read that today. Yeah, definitely. That's super cool. Like those are I definitely want to watch the Broken Skull sessions because they seem like it might be decent until creative is like no Austin, you have to do it this way, and he's like okay, fuck you guys again. So
the first one was the one that he did with Undertaker was really good. It let you see a side of the Undertaker that you don't see,
and it was cool to see. The one thing is that Austin very early on was like taking over the conversations and telling his own stories. And I was like, Austin, dial it back. And you could even kind of see it on Taker's face. He's like, but then Austin brought out the whiskey and they started doing shots.
Oh Lord.
But
keep in mind that the Stone Cold podcast was great too when it first started on WWE Network with like Cesaro. And like pretty much the Dean Ambrose interview was like the one that kind of flipped the switch where it was like, all right, Austin's clearly just kind of like a monkey for a creative at this point. So
I honestly think that what they're going to do with this is they're going to bring in guys who have stories. Like I could see him doing one with Ric Flair. I could see him doing one.
Man. That would be a train wreck.
I could see him doing one with
Simmons, I bet would be another good one, or Bradshaw,
Simmons,
definitely JBL.
Simmons, JBL, maybe even well, no, I guess we can't do that one. I was gonna say Dean Malenko would be kind of cool, but I could see like even guys who are still active that are kind of getting towards the end of their time, like Rey Mysterio. I'd love to hear one with Rey.
I'd like to hear one with Shawn Michaels, honestly. Shawn,
yeah.
And as much as I shit on him, I think if they were able to do the format that they did with Stone Cold and the Undertaker, like if creative didn't get control of it, I think Stone Cold and Bret Hart would be able to have a hell of a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure.
That would be super interesting. There would be probably a lot of good stories in that.
I would love to see one. We probably never will, but it would be Stone Cold and Triple H.
That would be a good
super
one.
Good.
But
that would be a good one.
Well, guys, what do you say we put this baby to bed?
Mm-hmm.
We have been going, and it's been a good one. So yeah. If y'all have stuck with us through this long, you've been the beneficiary of a pretty damn good conversation. So Poot, thank the sponsors.
I would like to thank Casual Gaming Dad himself, Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom, and go check out his page on Facebook. That's Casual Gaming Dad. Check him out on YouTube as well. That's Casual Gaming Dad, and on Twitch at Casual Gaming Dad 84. He plays a lot of really awesome games. I loved his run of Aladdin. That was really good. I also his God of War is really, really good too. You should definitely check that out. I'd also like to thank Mr. Sean Tischler and his support for IWC. And also I want to thank Jackson Argos. May the era of Argos go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, like the era of the Bard.
This will never. Bard era will ongoing
Good
forever as it should be.
Bard Tour 20XX.
That's right.
I also
For real though, like you've held that title for
a good
what, 5 months now?
Oh, a long time. You know what? I would say that Poot the Bard's reign is like an equivalent of a Mega Man game. They just kept making them, but man, they were always good.
Oh, look at this guy. Best advocate in the world.
Yes!
Also, shout out to Gould Gaming for having the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast t-shirts over on Casual Gaming Dad's page, Tom's page there. Go check one out. You can get one for yourself. Beef, who else am I forgetting?
Just IWC in general. Again, we're not privileged enough to call them sponsors because we have some work to do to earn that. But that doesn't stop us from being able to say, hey, go check them out. Same with Imagine Wrestling. If you're in the Central Pennsylvania region, go check them out. Both of them are offering great indie talent, and for a price of basically a date to a movie, you can go and check out some awesome indie wrestling. And the best thing about indie wrestling is, man, it's so real and gritty, and like it's so much like audience participation that you'll never get. Like going to AEW was awesome, and I've been to a WrestleMania, and I've been to Survivor Series, and been to many Raws.
Nice humble brag.
But I know, right? But going to indie shows is awesome because that they are making eye contact with you, that they're hearing you, and that you are literally willing them to do better. So it's an experience that you really can't describe until you've been there.
All right, man.
Yeah, these guys are the future of the business.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Also, Beef, I said I wanted to put this baby to bed, not read it War and Peace.
Hurtful.
Long in the old tooth there, Beefer.
No, thank you guys. This was a really good episode, and thank you all for checking it out. And if you have any submissions for Stump the Chumps, which goes alongside Hot Tag Trivia, make sure you email it to pittsburghpiledriverpodcast@gmail.com. You can also check us out on Facebook. Again, just search for Pittsburgh Piledriver Podcast. We're on Twitter at Pit Piledriver, correct, Beef?
That is correct.
All
at
right.
PITT Piledriver. Yes, sir.
At Pit Piledriver.
And also
we're
submit any topics you might like to see in a what's it called again?
Colorado tie-up.
Yeah, submit any topics you want to see in a collar and elbow tie-up, and who you might want to have go head-to-head in the old collar and elbow tie-up. I don't care. I'm talking to you, Pat Shannon.
Look.
Submit something. I don't care if you people don't like it. I like it. And that's all that matters.
Dude, I have fun with those because it's we usually do them on days whenever it's like, okay, it's in the middle of the day, it's a weekend, I'm going to get faced and argue with someone.
Yeah.
But I love those. Those are a lot of fun. For Mr. Tiger Bomb Tom, Mr. Beef the Legend, and my advocate, the best advocate in the world, Mr. Alec Ransom, I am your reigning, defending, undisputed, chooserweight champion, Poot the Bard.
Preach it.
Baby, have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Good night, bitches.